Welcome to In the Shop with Mike and Chris. Okay. That's the power valve spring?
What this does is the power valve mechanism is it's inside here, and it's on a centrifugal deal, and there has to be a load on it to start with, so it can, and then as it builds up speed, the centrifugal force moves it, and then it changes the position of the power valve in here, and there's a rod in here and stuff. But when you set this thing up, what you need to do is put the gasket on and the cover, and then there's a gap here between this gap right here so it's just I'm not pushing on it, it's just sitting there. And this gap right here needs to be I think between 10.5 and 11.5 millimeters, which is just under a ½ inch.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, when you measure it, it's about 3/8. So I was like, well,
no es bueno.
we just made a little aluminum disc, drop that in there, and voila!
Voila! We have preload on the power.
We have
valve.
we have the preload, the proper amount,
which will make the bike make power at lower RPMs.
What it's going to do, it's going to change the rate at which the power valve opens.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to take more RPM
to get that valve open.
To open the valve, correct.
Okay, and that can be changed by just yanking that out.
Changing this preload, it changes basically where you get power in the RPM range.
Gotcha.
So if you're doing a lot of low end, tight single track stuff, you want the power down low because you're in low RPMs. You don't want to have this thing like an on-off switch, like a
wide open,
like a motocross bike. So you adjust this thing in such a way that you get that.
So the longer it takes to open, the more torque you're going to have down low.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And one thing that KTM designed in later model bikes, I think they started in like, I want to say 98, maybe even like closer to 2000. I'm not quite sure when the change was. Yeah. But what they did was they changed this cover, and they actually added an adjustment screw in it. And I'm not sure what they've done, what they did behind here. I didn't look into it that deeply, but I'm pretty sure what this does, that spring, it's a set screw that doesn't have a head on it. But I had an extra, so I made one temporary just to see how things would work. And this thing will work with this setup, but I'm going to use it. If I do use it, I'll use a set screw and a lock nut.
Absolutely.
And then you can adjust the amount that you get.
Of pressure, yeah.
And you change your power valve that way.
Change your preload on that power valve.
Yep.
Right.
And it will change the power valve that way.
So what do we got going?
We got, you can see the engine's just about finished.
And it is one sexy beast.
It's just about done.
Rap!
Yeah, it's ready to rock.
So, but what are we doing to it today?
Well, one thing you need is spark.
You need spark. Don't forget about the spark.
You don't got spark.
You don't have spark, it ain't gonna run.
This is a boat anchor.
It's a boat anchor.
It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it's a pretty light boat anchor, but we'll use it as a boat anchor. So we're setting up the ignition, I presume?
Yes, we gotta do that. And this is a funky ignition. It's
a funky chicken ignition.
It's made by company, I don't know the full name of it. The acronym is SEM, and it's out of Sweden. It's some Swedish electrical something. I'm not sure exactly what. Don't quote me on that.
The freaky deaky Dutch.
They don't make this stuff anymore.
No, they don't.
They're long since out of business. KTM doesn't use them anymore. I think they quit using them in, I want to say 96-ish.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. But this is the same type of ignition that was in the
KTM 620.
The 620.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very similar. Slightly different because of the way it's put together. The 620 had this on there like that, and then the cover comes on with this.
Oh, okay.
It's set up different.
I remember, yeah.
But anyway, so we're after here is to set this thing up. Manuals. I got 3 different ones from the same motor, 3 different years. And they all tell you basically the same thing. They say what you want to do is you want to take the flywheel. Well, first of all, is put the plate on, because there's a separate plate for mounting the stator. This plate right here, it comes off with these 3 screws. And then you take the stator and you mount this stator on here, and there's 3 screws for that. So we get this thing on there, and then we put in these 3 screws and keep it not quite tight, but not too loose either. And then once we do that,
Like a distributor on a car, you want to make it to where you can adjust it, but when you adjust it, it'll stay. So there's like that sweet spot of tight, but not too tight.
yeah, you want to have a little bit of drag on it, but not real tight.
Not like Drag Queen Story Hour, but drag.
But no, that's a little too tight.
A little too tight.
Let's just back it off just a touch there. Okay, now we can move it. We've only got that much adjustment. There's not very much. Now, what they tell you to do is they say to use, you put the flywheel on, and there's this little tiny hole right here. Well, what it tells you to do, in all 3 manuals, it tells you to use, there's supposed to be 2 holes. And there's one that says 90 and one that says 91. 91 was, I think 90, 91, they changed the timing procedure. They changed the parts slightly, but they left the flywheels the same. They just added another hole.
Okay.
This flywheel doesn't have that 91 hole. So when you put this in and you do what it tells you to do there, the pin, I'm just using a 2mm drill that goes in this hole right here. It's supposed to line up in this slot right here. So if you look at where the keyway is versus the hole versus the slot, it's pretty freaking obvious. I mean, you guys can't see it on the camera very well, but it's pretty freaking obvious that those 3 things are not going to line up
With the keyway. Now, I'm gonna back him up a little bit and get to some base, what I understand. This part is called a stator. It is called a stator because it is stationary. This flywheel is the rotor. So it's just like the car, where a car ignition, where this would be your distributor cap, and this would be the rotor kind of setup deal. And basically, with the keyway on the flywheel, that pin does not fit in that slot at top dead 0, and that's what the manual is telling us.
So what we ended up having to do was
Find top dead center.
find top dead center.
And how do you find top dead center, Mike?
Well, you just told me. What we did was we used this little guy. This is a part that I actually got when I was building the Suzukis that we don't have on camera. Those ones out there.
Yep.
They're in some of the videos. I think
they are.
Early
Reloaded,
on.
yep.
But what you do is you screw this guy into the spark plug hole in the top. And what it'll do is it will lock the piston. So what we did was we turned it to lock one direction and put the flywheel on and marked the flywheel and the case. So we marked the flywheel right here and the case. So we got flywheel in the case. And then we turned it the other direction till it locked and it came over here and it marked it right here. And halfway in between those two marks is top dead center.
Dimensionally halfway.
Dimensionally halfway.
And degree halfway. I guess a degree is a dimension, so there you go.
So what we did was because this is a perfect circle. Perfect circle.
A Surfic Perkle.
It's
a Surfic Perkle, people.
We did some measurements and figured out that 52.5 was the exact number in between. And so that's where theoretical top dead center is. And what the manual is telling us to do is to time this thing at what?
13.5 degrees.
Yeah,
before
it's top
dead center.
13.5 degrees before top dead center.
And since the motor turns counterclockwise, that's before.
Yeah, this is before it wants to be on that side
yeah.
before top dead center. So, because it's coming up to it. So what we did was we put this guy in and there's our mark, our top dead center mark, and we moved this thing to
13 degrees.
13 degrees. Boom, there we go. We're gonna lock it down there. This doesn't work, then we can easily take it off.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, then we're gonna end up taking the cover off and cowboying it. Just turn it and run it and turn it and run it, but I think it's gonna work.
I think it is too. I think it's gonna work fine.
And now this stator that he has here has got many wires, right? There's a lot of wires because this one here does power.
It's got a 130 watt generator in it.
So you see these top three here. Top four. Is there four? There's four. Yep. These top four lugs here on the outside, those are for the ignition trigger. And then down below, it's got
all the way around.
Magnets all the way around. And that's
the coils for the
coils for the goils.
Yeah.
That makes the power. And how did we determine if it was the compression stroke?
2 strokes.
Two strokes. Yeah, well, it's 1 stroke or 2 stroke. Which is it?
This is a 2-stroke.
Okay.
But it only has compression on every stroke.
It's got compression on every stroke. So it's not like a car motor or any car motor that's a 4-stroke. You've got to, every other stroke is a compression stroke with the valves closed, yada, yada, yada. This one here doesn't have that. So it's every time that piston hits top dead center, technically it's compression.
Boom, boom, boom.
It fires every time.
Right? Is that right, Chase? Yeah? You think that's right? Yeah? Yeah.
That's why they make more power.
That's why they make more power.
Because they get a pop every turn.
They do.
So basically, that's how you time one of these things as far as we know now. But if you continue watching the channel, stay tuned. You will see us try to start this thing, and you can either tell us we're heroes or tell us we're jackasses. But
yeah, we very well might be. This thing might not run.
I'm shooting for hero. And I'm going to have a bureau when I'm a hero.
Yep. It's. I'm pretty sure this motor's going to run. And it'll probably run pretty good. I'm hoping it's going to run pretty good.
It's going to run like a raped ape or a scalded rabbit. What are some other things? It's a raped ape, a scalded rabbit.
I don't know any others off the top of my head.
Okay. If you guys know any others, put them down there in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys. Next video is going to be putting this thing in, or it may be already in, and then buttoning it all up, because we got to get a few things to put in. But it's ready, essentially ready to go in the bike now. So
woohoo!
Yeah. So we'll be
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't turn off.